All right, everybody. I'm gonna do another movie review, kind of a perspective review. This movie, Over the Edge, came out in 1979. Um, I did not see this in the theaters, as I was like 9 years old at the time, maybe a little older. But yeah, it was not. It was a very low amount of theaters it was put out in. Due to the time, there was some other movies that were they were like The Warriors and The Wanderers, a couple other like coming of age type movies that came out at the same time, and they thought there was like an overload of them, so they put this one just a limited release. Um, this movie was Matt Dillon's first movie that he made. He was 14 years old in this movie. He was found in New York by an agent at a school, and I guess they thought he was great for his movie, and so they took him. And this movie was a $3 million budget. It's filmed in um, Colorado, in a couple of spots, Colorado, and 20 days filming time. Now, this movie is yeah, $3 million is definitely not a big budget for any kind of a movie, and it's very you can kind of see that in the movie. And like I said, it's a very limited release, but it has gained like cult status over the years for some reason. Um, just because of the original story, I guess, is kind of the ending of it is a little different for the coming of age type movie. It's not like it's before the Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's before the Outsiders. It's the Warriors was released the same year, and it was much more gang movie and much more a lot more money in that movie. Anyway, this movie it takes place in a place that's called New Granada. It's a housing development in a rural suburbs, and the main plot of wraps around their kids' parents and everything. They've moved into this housing development. There's basically nothing there for kids to do. It's it's just a desolation of suburbs, and they have this one rec center that's got a foosball table and a pool table and not much else in there. And so and all the kids are going to this one place there besides school, so they don't have anything kind of after school things going on or anything like that. So they're kind of just looking for trouble out there. It's the '70s drug culture is coming in, and that's the kind of the theme of it. This um, according to the wiki article, this movie was based on a true story from 1973 in the San Francisco Examiner. And it's called Mouse Packs: Kids on Crime Spree, and it's supposed to take place in Foster City, California. Um, and I guess these yeah, I didn't read the article, but they said it didn't have the same ending, of course, as this movie does. But so basically, these kids go on they're just vandals, and they go around just causing trouble, and getting drugs, and just generally being miscreants and acting out. Um, and for '70s kids, I suppose it's kind of it's could relate to it a lot. Um, like I said, I was like 9 years old when this movie was released, and so I was not relating to this movie too well, I would think. But I did see this movie like in probably 81, 82, maybe somewhere in that neck of the woods. It was on HBO, and then so it's disappeared. It's disappeared since then. And I always remembered this movie because of the soundtrack for it, which for a $3 million movie just had a tremendous soundtrack. I mean, I don't know what they paid these people or they donated these things, but at the time we were talking, it had Cheap Trick, 4 songs by them, including Surrender and a few others. But Surrender is like kind of the theme song for the whole movie. Um, it had the Cars, a couple of songs by them, Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix, the Ramones, um, Little Feat, and Valerie Carter. So those are all the bands. It's pretty decent soundtrack for that movie like that. So kind of surprising. I remember the reason I saw it, wanted to see it when I was in '82 or whenever it was on HBO was that soundtrack, and they played that Mom is all right, Dad is all right. The song. Yeah, that was the theme song to the movie for the most part. And there's There's also a little blurb in the wiki. It says that Van Halen was going to do a theme song to it, but after they've seen the original release to it, they figured this wasn't going to be an Oscar-winning movie, so they decided not to do the theme song to the movie. But they did contribute the song. So that's that. That's that. Now let me go forward here. This is another poster for the movie when it was released. Nobody listened, nobody cared until the night they went over the edge. So it all starts out with Carl, who is Michael Kramer, Richie, who's Matt Dillon. They're kind of buddies, and they're hanging out and just doing whatever. And they meet up with this girl and these two girls who just robbed a house apparently. And they two girls, one of them is named Corey, Pam Ludwig, and then I'm not sure the other girl's name right offhand, but they're walking down the street and they in the suburbs here, and the two boys come across them and grabs out one of their hands and they've just robbed this house for got a pistol that they've taken. So they decide, oh yeah, let's go out and let's go shoot it, and that'll be fun. First they go to this place. It's a condo that's not been finished correct construction. That's because, like I said, it's a suburb out there, and they're trying to get people to come in and buy a property. Their kids are like been promised, I guess, by their parents, or the town, that they're going to put in a bowling alley and some other thing on this vacant land across the street from the rec center. And these Texas guys come in, they're going to show them the land and everything, but they're talking about building an industrial park now. And so the kids are like, pretty disappointed because they don't, there's nothing to do in this town. So, which, I mean, anybody that's grown up in a town like that can kind of relate. I was fortunate enough to not grow up in a town like that. There's lots of stuff to do when I was a kid. The place I live now is, on the other hand, I could relate to this movie because just out here, kids have nothing to do. There's nothing out here for kids at all. So they're pretty much like these kids, very, very into trouble all the time. Anyway, they go to this one of these property that is under construction but not completed, and they're in there and getting high and hanging out and everything. And the one girl, like Corey, she starts dancing around with the gun and brandishing it and everything else like that. And she like points it at Carl, who's like the main character in the movie, and fires it, and not knowing that there's bullets in it, still she fires it, and he pretends like he's hit. I know he's not really hit, but he falls over like he is, and then they're all scared and no, it's okay. No, I'm just kidding. So there's that's kind of a safety lesson for guns right there, I suppose. That just don't point guns at people that you don't know are loaded or not. And I kind of glossed over as that, but so then I guess they meet up the next day, and they go out to go shoot this pistol because they got a little bit like very little bit around, so they think it's gonna be fun. I mean, there's literally nothing else to do, so they go out in the field and they got a pop can or whatever, and they all take turns shooting at the can, and nobody can hit it, until finally Carl takes one shot at it. He hits the can. He's a good shot. So out of bullets now, away they go. So they next thing they go back to this the kids center and the rec center, and they're all in there playing. And in the meantime, there's these people from Texas are coming in to look at this property, see if they're going to buy it. And they kind of, being that the rec center is like right across the street from this property, they kind of don't want the kids to be there. And these, kind of put the best face on these investors, and so they like say, well, we should shut down the rec center for a day and everything like that. Well, they kind of do that a little bit too late, and they had this one cop, Doberman, Ed Doberman is his name, and he's like the quintessential asshole cop of the movie. And he goes in the rec center just before the investors are coming over there, and he goes in there and starts trying to roust the kids and everything, and causes a big scene with them, and grabs up one kid and searches him, finds some hash on him. So he hooks him up, and then calls in. It's a big deal. So they're taking him outside, and all the other kids follow, and they're the Matt Dillon character, Richie, he runs out and jumps on top of the cop car and makes a big old scene, and where the other cops try to chase him, the assistant cop, and these detectives, investigator guys, kind of see what's going on, but they're having a play date with the police is basically what they tell the guy, right? They finally take the kid off. They found with the hash on him, and don't hassle him for a while. The movie just kind of goes on, and it's just them doing some just random kind of things and complaining about everything. A couple shots of them in school. One kid takes acid, and he's freaking out on Hieronymus Bach pictures and that they're showing for art class or something. And there's this one interesting scene that's coming up. This thing with this one kid. Very strange, I thought. Now, looking for meaning in this movie, I would say it's lacking that a lot. It's more of it's a coming of age type movie, but it's very one dimensional. The characters are real weak, and the kid Carl, he's fallen in love with this Corey girl, and she was with another boyfriend, and that boyfriend beat him up. But then she's like gets with him because of she's just cool, and so then it all comes about to that they're going to because of all the things. Well, they go to the kid that got busted with the hash. Somebody had snitched on him, and that's why that's why the cop went right for him. So let me go here. All right, so this is them all out. They're shooting the gun, and that's the girl, Pam Ludwig, and Matt Dillon and Carl, Michael Kramer, and the other kid in the background is Johnny or something like that. So that's them shooting the gun. But then they all go to after they go to this kid's house because they find out that the kid that got busted with the hash on him was narked on by this other kid who's like basically the drug dealer kid of the town, even though he's like maybe 12 or something like that. Like I said, Matt Dillon's like 14 in this movie, and I'd say the other kids were about the same age. I was in for the reference. I think that they're supposed to be like a little older, maybe, because they said something about referencing the Carl character is like 15, going to be 16, and then when you're 16, they send you to the juvenile hall up. They call it up the hill, which is a detention facility, I guess, for juveniles or whatever. And I guess the Matt Dillon character had already been there, so he must be over 16 in the movie. But so they go to the kid's house that supposedly was snitched off the other kid for the hash, and they freak him out. They point this gun at him and tell him that they make him admit that he did this and all this stuff. And in the process of what they're doing, the mother, they're like down on a tennis court, they're like these condos, and the mother hears her son screaming and hollering, and she sees these boys up there with putting the gun to him and everything, and they light up a firecracker and like make him think that they shot him with the gun, so that it attracts attention to the mother, and they throw him in the pond and whatever. So she runs up there, and they all run away, of course, and but the following scene, they're at school the next day, and that mother, the drug dealer boy, is at the school, and Carl overhears her telling the names of all the kids that were there that did that to her son. So he knows immediately that they're in trouble, and so he runs and grabs Richie, Matt Dillon, and they take off out of the back door of the school, and just as the police come the other way, and they run over to Richie's mom's house, and his house, and he grabs a gun and then grabs his mom's keys to an old Ford Bronco type thing, and they decide they're going to take off. They're going to hit the road. They're going to run away, and so they're taking off, having a good old time, and put the 8-track in and smoking a joint, and of course here comes Ed Doberman, the cop, and he spots him or something, just sees him. He goes to chase him down, and the Carl character is saying, just a gun, throw it out, and Richie's like, no, I'm not doing it. Goes off road, and he thinks he's gonna ditch the cops off getting out in the boonies there, and then he can't drive for shit, so he rolls the Jeep or the Ford over on its side, and then they decide to split up, run each direction, different direction because there's only one cop, and the cop takes off after Richie, the Matt Dillon, and he fires a warning shot, over his head. The cop does, and Richie slows down, turns around. He's got the gun. And he points it at the cop, and he's like, "Fuck you, pig!" And the cop lays him out and drops him dead. So, and Carl sees that, and then he knows, that so he just keeps running away. Now he knows that it's really bad. Everything's really bad now. So he runs away, and he goes and hides out, and he calls the Molly girl to come, because he goes that the under construction apartment, or condo, I mean, and he goes there to hide out, and he calls her on the phone, and he calls his other friend to find out about what happened to Richie, to find out if he's alive or dead. Now this is a shot picture of that's Ed Doberman and the kid that had the hash on him. He's getting arrested at the rec center. So he calls up this other kid. I think his name is Johnny in the movie, but that kid doesn't speak. So he holds him on the phone, and he's like, "Are you there?" And he's like, "Tap once if you're for yes, and tap no, or tap once for no and two for yes." And he's like, is he dead? And he's like, tap yes, and he's like, tell him, are you okay? This that, and tells him. I don't know why the kid doesn't talk or whatever, but but that's just the way they communicate with him. And but this is the strange part now. And he's sitting there in this room, and his TV is just playing these random diamond patterns and stuff on the TV. I could not recognize what it was. It was not a channel or a station. Not right. It's like some kind of like trippy patterns of diamond fading in and out colors and diamonds and just strange stuff. Like not like a test signal, but like something you'd see in a really old music video of some sort. But there weren't even music videos around in '79. But it was just like some kind of weird pattern things on the TV, which it's never explained in the movie what it's about. And there's two scenes with him in his room, and the same type pattern thing is on the TV, which I don't know. It's like something about the boredom or of what they're doing. It's like that he's just like watching paint dry or something. I guess watching random shapes on the television. But I don't know what that would even be, what show it would be or anything like that. It's nothing I've ever seen before. A show or anything. So I'm not really sure what that is. But it was purposely shown 2 times in the movie. So there's something to that. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I noticed it, and then just like, Didn't notice it the first time I watched it. That was a long time ago. But the second time I really paid attention to a lot of stuff in this movie. And I'd give the movie a decent rating. And it's low budget. It is, but overall, you can kind of get the feel of the kids. They're, the boredom. It comes across the boredom they're experiencing in this town, and the parents not being able to rate them, and this is the change that happened with the youth in the '70s, '60s, and '70s. With the counterculture, and this is just the separation. That was caused by all the stuff that destroyed families, and at the time period that was breaking everything apart. And so this was very, this movie could definitely contribute to it, because it definitely got a message of not getting along with your parents, and the fuck the man and that kind of thing. It's definitely got that message coming across to it. So anyway, they his friend gets killed. Richie gets killed by the cop, and so Carl goes on the run for a little bit, and they decide to have a big meeting of all the parents, and they put out a thing for all the parents need to come to the school, and they're gonna have a meeting about the youth in the neighborhood, and what the problem, what they should do to address the problem with all the kids that are being delinquent and everything. And so all the parents go to the school and meet up, and they start having their meeting of the town for what they're gonna do about the kids. And this cop, Officer Doberman, there, he's waiting. He's gonna speak, and the school principal is gonna speak, and the the county council, and everybody's there. And not all the parents show up, of course, but a good majority of parents show up to talk to him. And So Carl and them hear about this thing, and his group there. So they decide, hey, let's go down there and make our voices heard. Because they don't know, hear our voices, what we know, but they're going to be talking about what they're going to do to us. So we need to go down there and let them know what we think. So they go down there, and it's nighttime and the evening, and they decide, well, you know what? Let's just lock them all in here. So they get chains and off their bikes and stuff that are in the bike parking lot there at the school, and they pull across the fire gates and just they go around. And they lock every door they possibly can lock to the auditorium to the school, and they lock the people in there, all their parents, and then they proceed to just break things apart outside, bashing cars and setting fires and setting off fireworks and everything else. And the cop Doberman, he spots moving out there, and he sees that they're and then everybody, all the people, the parents all panic. They realize they're locked in, and it's a big chaos thing. And they're watching the kids out there just they're tearing apart all the cars in the parking lot and smashing windows and everything else and completely destroying all the property out there, setting fires. They break into the cops' car, and they get guns out of that car, and they start firing guns and cars, and this is a little bit over the top, and the little pistols and stuff are blowing cars up. Well, it's pretty explosive rounds, I guess. It's a little bit over the top of that, but there's you get the sense of that they're completely out of control, these kids, and they just go ape shit basically. Um, then the one kid that can't talk again, or doesn't talk, he's like skateboarding through the halls, and after they've been wrecking stuff for a little while, and the teacher who's like the rec department teacher, she's the only cool person, the adult basically. She asked him to give her a phone, and so he does, and she calls the state police. Finally, this is like after an hour or so that they've been locked in there, or more. They've been locked in the room, so and then you hear the sirens coming, and so they all run away. And of course, once this cop Doberman gets out, he's lost his mind now, because he's already killed this other kid, and now these kids are just going berserk, and he's completely unhinged. So he runs out. Runs out, and they're telling him to stop. You're too hot to do this anything. He goes and gets in one of the state police cars and takes off because his car's wrecked. And then he goes after whoever he can catch, basically. He ends up catching Carl, who's not too far away down the street, and gets him in there, and he's just lecturing him. And as they're driving towards the police station or wherever they're going, another kid on the side of the road who had just stolen the shotgun out of the police car just blasts the cop car and pretty much causes Doberman to crash into the rec center right there. So Doberman crashes into the rec center, and Carl reaches over, gets the keys out of his pocket, undoes the cuffs he's got, gets out of the car, and then the place just blows up big time, completely. So killing that cop, of course. So there's two deaths in this movie, which is Richie and the cop that killed him, Officer Doberman. And it's a pretty big, huge explosion that takes him out. And then the last scene of the movie is all the kids, basically, except for just a few, are all getting put on the bus that's going to go to up the hill, which is to the juvenile facility, and they're pretty much all the parents are standing outside the police station. The bus is full of kids. They're taking the whole town of kids to the juvenile facility, except for like 3 kids that didn't get caught, which is Carl's girlfriend, Corey, Pam Ludwig, and a couple of the deaf kid, or the kid that don't speak, and some other kid. They wait from the overpass to as the bus goes by. So, and he's in Carl's miles because she's there. It's his girlfriend now, and he's all happy, and basically that's the end of the movie. They're off to go to the kids' jail for a little while. So the overall take of the movie is it's definitely definitely a movie about rebellion, the rebellion of the times of that '79. All the people were the kids were definitely pulling away from their parents, and this movie it glorifies that type of it glorifies the disobedience, and it gives an excuse for the disobedience, and it's you can sympathize with the kids where they come from, because there is no nothing to do really. And that's Corey. That's Carl's girlfriend, Pam Ludwig. I'm not sure. Couldn't find any other movies with her in it. Um, this was definitely a cast of no-name people except for the Matt Dillon character. Um, but as I said, this movie you could definitely relate to the nothing to do for kids, and it's kind of it should be a cautionary tale in a way for parents and societies and groups to the kids need to have some kind of activities. I mean, beyond just a little simple rec center that's not got much to do. And I mean, all that was going on there was selling drugs and just looking to meet up to get into trouble. And there was no further um, things for the kids to do really. And you start, idle hands. That's how that goes. So that's what I got from the movie. Is that it was really it was promoting this. Promoting the negativity of the times and promoting the juvenile delinquency and glorifying the violent, not glorifying the delinquency more or less. And the one kid does get killed. That's a little cautionary tale. You don't point a gun at a cop. So that ended not well for him. But then of course the retribution, the cop ends up dying and getting blown up. So kind of tables are evened, I guess, suppose. And this is I read some of the comments on the movie about, and they'd seen this movie when they had been played in school for them, as a cautionary tale or whatever. And of course they end up cheering for the kids and everything when they, because what kid wouldn't cheer for them? They locked the parents in at school, and they, basically wreak havoc on the town as they're all the parents are locked in a room in the school, and they got their point across that they're. So that that's kind of the thing. Why cult classic, I believe, because that's that reason right there that they kind of take the twist when they lock all the parents away. So now this movie was at the time '79. It's another one of those years like '83 where there's just a lot of movies that came out that year. Very interestingly, um, the China Syndrome, the Jerk, Disney's The Black Hole, the Amityville Horror, which I saw that one in the movie theaters at that time, which is was a my friend's birthday party, and his mother, his dad was a sheriff, and his mother took us all his friends to the movie, rated R movie. We went in that movie, and that movie gave me friggin' nightmares. For long, and then of course I read the book after that too. I was a big reader, and so I read the Amityville Horror, the book after that, and I was having nightmares. I was waking up at 3:15 in the morning, and everything. So that was definitely a movie that stuck with me to this day. And then we saw Star Trek: The Motion Picture that came out also in that same year. We saw that in the movie theaters as well. Then Stephen King's Salem's Lot came out. The Warriors, the movie Alien, the movie Mad Max, which I also saw I saw that at a drive-in in Paradise, California. I was visiting my sister because her birthday was in April of that year, and so as mine was as well. But we went down. I went down there to visit her as my half sister, and we were in the back of a little pickup truck and at the drive-in, and drinking Purple Jesuses, and then that movie was on Mad Max, and it was not. It didn't go over very well. It didn't go over very well to the crowd there. It was just not their kind of movie back in 1979 when that. Because if you've ever seen Mad Max, it's just definitely a movie you gotta be paying attention to even like. So at the time it was my sister didn't think much of it, and I was trying to watch it, but it was kind of slow in some parts. But yeah, I saw that in a drive-in theater. Then also the movie Moonraker came out, which I saw at a multi-theater too. It's on that. We went to tons of movies when I was a kid, even when I was younger. Then Phantasm, that was also released that year, which I later saw that on HBO a couple years later. And 10, Bo Derek movie. That was very, very Dudley Moore. That movie was super popular that summer because of Bo Derek. That made her a superstar big time. And that was an adult movie that we all want to see. I didn't get to see that movie until it came on HBO later. But there's other movies too I didn't list here, but those are the main big ones that were going to compete with this movie. So this movie could have easily fallen through the cracks, especially since it was a limited release and not very not very promoted, and had nobody in the cast to speak of at the time. Like I said, it was Matt Dillon's first movie, and so nobody knew him. But I mean, a lot of girls I read in the comments, it was just, they fell in love with him in this movie, and I think it was soon after he did The Outsiders, and from there on, he was a heartthrob throughout the 80s, and did quite a few movies. So that's pretty much that. And so that's my review of that movie, kind of a retrospect from, because I just watched it again here just recently. So I saw it on. I think I remember that movie, and I remember the Cheap Trick, and Surrender. I see what she was like again. It's after, since 1980, so something I watched that movie. Here we are, basically 40 years later, and I can see where the cult status comes from on it, and but I see the a very being a perspective now. I would say it's the adult in me would say it's got some very negative connotations, got some very negative behavior by these kids, and but it's, you can understand it with the parents, that they're just so disconnected from their kids, and they're just too concerned about their own things, and the kids are just like, so go to the rec center and get out from under my hair, and just go to school, and they're not really thinking about anything else to give the kids any kind of structure, or anything for them to do. And so they kind of set themselves up for problems where there's just, you turn the kids loose on the streets without supervision, and really, and nothing but idle hands, and that's what you're going to get. And that's what you get. And the twist of it, they all get locked in there. And I guess they all learn a valuable lesson, but the kids all end up going to jail at the end, to the juvenile facility. So, what does it really say about the system? I don't really think they changed anything. I don't really think they learned anything, and they're just going to learn to be more criminals in the criminal system. And that's about all there is to that, right? All right, everybody, that's about it for now. I'm gonna get this loaded up and do another one later. And thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Bye.